Remember, oh, CNN is airing the first clip of the interview right now. Okay, we're going to look at this real quick. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include
4 hours
holding
and 57
ourselves
minutes remaining.
to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the passage, illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
So, Phil, that is her sort of broad explanation of some changes in policy and what she would do as president now that she is running at the top of the ticket in 2024. But as I said, we did talk about some of the specifics, which you'll see tonight.
Dana, you mentioned wide-ranging. I don't want you to give it all away. Obviously, it airs at 9 p.m. tonight.
Don't give it all away.
What else? Kind of top-line people that did you have an opportunity to speak to them about?
Well, we talked about, that was just domestic policy. We talked about foreign policy. But, you know, another, because she has not sat down for an interview yet in this very quick, very unprecedented race that she is running, how did that happen? The fact that we were even having this conversation wouldn't have been a thing a little more than a month ago because she was running for re-election as vice president. And I asked her about the phone call that she got from President Biden when he announced on that Sunday, July 21st, that he was going to step aside and not run for re-election. And she told me that it was maybe TMI, but that she wanted to tell me the story of how that happened. So you have to wait, Phil, for that TMI for the story.
Can I ask, Dana, just from an observational perspective, you covered Governor Walz. I think you covered him in the House. You covered Senator Harris, Vice President Harris. As you noted, this has been a whirlwind, and they're in the midst of a crazy sprint right now. What was your impression of them when they sat down as they went through this interview?
Well, they're just getting to know each other, as all candidates.
Boo, this stuff is so fucking boring. I don't care about, like, the vibes, dude. Oh, my God, they're carrying... Okay, here is a couple predictions I'm making about this interview. Considering that Dana Fash is talking about all the vibes, okay... I suspect that they said some unhinged shit about Israel on this interview, okay? As in, like, unhinged pro-Israel shit. If they talked about it at all. No, it didn't go well. No, it went well. I think it went well. I think this interview, they're you know, they carried a lot of water.
Just a senator and a House member, but it is kind of the getting to know you stage, but they do seem to have a comfort level with one another. And the big question is going to be how they translate their connection to the voters and, most importantly, the policies.
Like she says she's going to kill more Palestinians or some shit on this interview, okay?
Especially on the question of affordability, the affordability crisis in America right now.
Speaking of whirlwinds and sprints, I believe that's been your week as well. Dana Bash, we appreciate you unveiling the first sound of this interview.
Yeah, I'm unveiling the top of the hour ad break right now, okay? That's my suspicion. That's my suspicion. I've been saying since the Walz pick they were just going to run this shit on vibes alone and try to girl boss Brad Summer their way to the win. Yeah, we'll see. Dana Bash is one of the country's leading Zionists. She was a major Zionist. She was on a major Zionist organization board. Her first husband was the CIA chief of staff. The fact that they picked her for this first interview is bad, to put it mildly. Well, the fact that knowing all of that about Dana Fash, knowing what she has said in support of Israel since October 7. I suspect that considering that she is angling this interview as like a relatively positive experience, I suspect that Kamala Harris, if she were asked about Israel at all, probably says some unhinged ultra-Zionist shit. Okay? New polling shows voters trust Trump over Harris on key 2024 issue. Yeah, the polls that came out recently, by the way, look really fucking bad for Trump. Having said all of this, not the national polls where like Kamala is like winning, or I'm not even talking about like the swing state polls or whatever. I'm specifically talking about, where's Dave Weigel's tweet on this? Here, every issue question is closer than you'd expect. Harris is up 1 point over Trump on crime, up just 5 points on democracy, but Trump leads on economy and immigration, down to single digits. Same story for a month. Biden was cooked. Harris is competitive. The one issue, however, that like Trump is cooking on is Israel. Now, I suspect that the Democrats would look at that and learn the absolute worst lesson from that, which is not to run into the Jeremy Corbyn problem and Jeremy Corbyn on Brexit problem and do this like wishy-washy bullshit and have a firm commitment to like a ceasefire proposal that they put forward, and also use the leverage that they have to get Israel to do the ceasefire proposal that they put forward. They're going to think, oh, it's because we're not aggressive enough in terms of defending Israel. Oh my God. Quinnipiac finds Harris ahead by a point on the issue of crime. Likely voters. 49% say Harris, 48% say Trump on crime. Russia-Ukraine war, 49% say Trump, 47% say Harris. U.S. Supreme Court, 49% say Harris, 47% say Trump. Israel, Hamas, war in Gaza, 49% say Trump, 45% say Harris. Immigration, 51% say Trump, 46% Harris. Preserving democracy, 50% say Harris, 45% say Trump. The economy, 52% say Trump, 46% say Harris. Gun violence, 51% say Harris, 45% say Trump. Inflation, 52% for Trump, 45% for Harris. Abortion, 55% say Harris, 38% say Trump. And climate change, 59% say Harris, 34% say Trump. Okay? I want to bring this back again. In the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, 49% say Trump, 45% say Harris. Harris gets a massive advantage not being Biden. Biden was losing to Trump by 20 fucking points, by double digits on Israel. Okay? Double digits. Double digits. Why is it that people see Harris as better, despite the fact that she has basically communicated the exact same things that Joe Biden has so far? That is because people are wishing what her policy positions are on this matter, rather than actually analyzing the situation in the same exact way that people are wish casting what they personally think Trump is going to do with Israel versus what Trump is actually actively communicating. Trump gets a major benefit here for both Ukraine and also for Hamas and Palestine and Gaza and Israel, because he's not the president. So when you're not in a position of power, people that support you will actively assume you are going to do, especially if you're charismatic enough, they will actively assume that you're going to do whatever they want you to do, okay? Whatever they believe is the right choice. This does not mean that 49% of people are saying, oh, Trump is going to finish the job in Gaza. And that's why they're like, oh yeah, many people are just like really aggressive in terms of like their opinion on Israel, Palestine. Okay? That's not what this means at all. I need you to understand that. That's not what this means at all. Because if that is what that meant, actually, he is the president. You just refuse to acknowledge it. True. Okay? If that is what that meant at all, on the issue of what do you call it? On the issue of like Israel, Palestine, okay? I don't know why you guys banned that chatter. He didn't say anything wrong. Bad RNG girl. They didn't say anything bad. That was a misfire, I think. You're bad, Hasan. I am the baddest. I'm a baddie. Oh, this is the person that they're talking about? I thought they were... Oh, no. I thought you were... Bad Girl RNG is the one that got banned, I thought. Shut the fuck up already. Swing ya bank. Anyway. Yes, when people are polled specifically on Israel, they oppose weapons aid and Israel's war on Gaza. Exactly. Okay? So obviously, it is not that like many people personally think that Donald Trump's calculations on Israel Palestine are that he is going to finish the job, as in he's going to make the genocide even worse. It is the exact opposite. There are plenty of, obviously the Republican Party thinks that, and they like that. They're Republicans. They're the most invested in Israel finishing the job, i.e. continuing the genocide, mass expulsion of Palestinians and whatnot. Having said that, however, there are plenty of people that literally are still factored into this percentage that most likely think, well, Trump's not the president. He says he's going to finish the job. I think personally he's going to do better than Kamala Harris would do in this situation. Now, do I fault them for this? No. Do you want to know why I don't fault them for thinking this way, even though they are objectively in the wrong? Because they are objectively in the wrong if they think Trump is going to be better. And I have reiterated this time and time again. Why do I think that people still have these opinions? It is because, is that just speculation though on your end? No, it is not speculation on my end. Of course, I'm looking at the numbers in front of me. What are you talking about? The numbers show 77% of Democrats want to stop weapons transfers to Israel in an effort to get Israel to come to the table on the ceasefire agreement that we have put together months ago. Okay? 60+% of moderates also want this. Trump supporters want children to be lasered, but that would mean that Harris would still have a bonus on Trump on this. Harris would be defeating Trump on the issue of Israel-Hamas. Okay? Looking at the actual numbers when polled on the issue alone, obviously, if one side is communicating that they want a ceasefire, the other side is simply saying, well, I'm not the president, Joe Biden started this, and also I'm gonna finish the job, then yeah, Trump should be winning. Okay? I mean, not Trump should be winning, sorry. Trump, these numbers would make sense if there was an overwhelming amount of support for Israel to continue bombing Gaza. Okay? But there isn't. There's an overwhelming amount of support on the opposite direction on this issue, which means that there are people here that are saying Trump would do a better job in scaling back Israel's violence. Obviously, there are plenty of people in this base that, think Trump is going to do a better job because they love Trump. Trump is going to do a better job because, they're going to punish Gaza even more, right? But there's still plenty of people, obviously, that are being polled here, just judging by the numbers, that think Trump is going to be better and more peaceful. Why do they think this is a great question. Why do these people think this way, even though they are objectively wrong? It's because Kamala Harris has not separated herself from Joe Biden on this issue. She has not communicated anything majorly different than Joe Biden has on this issue. And as it stands, the issue of Israel is not a partisan issue at all. It is bipartisan, as a matter of fact. Our undying loyalty and commitment to Israel's genocide is bipartisan. This is why I keep saying Kamala Harris needs to actively turn this into a partisan issue, okay? She needs to polarize the base against Donald Trump. Yes, I mean that people want a ceasefire, and since Democrats won't advocate for it, well, Democrats are advocating for a ceasefire, but they're not doing enough for it, okay? They think the Democrats are too weak on this issue. They're too weak to fucking make Israel do our bidding. Do you get it? Yes, people are hoping that Trump will be different because he's not in power. This was the exact same phenomena that took place in 2016. This is the only angle that actually turns this back into a Hillary versus Trump style race in 2016. Trump still gets the benefit of not being president. Just like in 2016, he had the benefit of being an outsider, being able to communicate as an outsider, okay, against someone who he obviously didn't really try too hard, but successfully portrayed as a warmonger, Hillary Clinton. And even though he has been president already, and we know what his tenure looked like, okay, a lot of people are still responding to what he is saying. And what he's saying is he's a peaceful guy. He's the dove, that he's going to solve Ukraine. He's going to solve Israel-Palestine, and that no new wars happened under his 4-year reign. That's important to take note of, okay? Because you might look at the situation and understand that that's bullshit. I myself understand that that's fucking bullshit. He greatly escalated drone wars, didn't pull out of Afghanistan after saying that he was going to, okay, and now literally shits on Biden for pulling out of Afghanistan. But overall, what matters is how he's communicating to the public. He's communicating to the public that he is a peaceful dove. Stop sending me the Trump campaign. I know he's live in Michigan. We don't have to always fucking listen to what he's saying. I'm covering. It's the same thing that he's going to talk about as he's talked about a million times over. Okay, shut the fuck up. If Donald Trump keeps saying, oh, I started no new wars and I'm going to be the peaceful candidate, and Kamala Harris says, I'm going to have the most militant military, the most lethal military force you've ever seen, this is going to cause problems for her. Okay? That's it. Because Democrats will never win the Patriots. Okay? Republicans own patriotism. That's why Donald Trump could literally say, fuck John McCain, and still end up winning over a massive amount of veterans, end up successfully campaigning, okay? As the guy who loves America. That's it. Republicans in this country own patriotism. They own it. Democrats will never own patriotism. DNC platform now versus 4 years ago. The DNC quietly added language in their 2024 platform hinting at U.S. escalation against Hezbollah in Lebanon. It is similar to language the U.S. has used to describe Hamas, while it has unconditionally supported Israel's war on Gaza that has killed 40,000 plus. Okay? DNC platform now versus 4 years ago. The 2024 platform calling for Lebanon to be free from the grip of Iran-backed Hezbollah is a far cry from the 2020 version, which read, Democrats believe the United States should not impose regime change on other countries and reject that as a goal of the U.S. policy towards Iran.
Incredible that media organizations, because we only get one interview, have to get their questions answered by proxy. Everyone is putting up what they would ask the Vice President of the United States, because she only has agreed to one interview.
As J.D. Vance said yesterday, is she going to show up to the debate wearing a blue suit and a red tie? Because there's so much that she has done to run from her record, run from her 3.5 years as vice president, and run to Donald Trump with strong on the border, his economic principles, as well as the immigration when it comes to building the wall and repurposing the $650 million that's still out there.
Right.
Now she talks about law enforcement. Just looking at the polls right now, it's not a major bounce for somebody that had the momentum of not being Joe Biden, momentum of naming a running mate, momentum of the DNC.
They're coping a bit. Okay, they're definitely coping because these polls don't actually look good at all. Okay. And like I said, these polls don't look good for Trump at all. Okay, there's no world where you can show this and then go, oh, well, you know, Trump is losing by not by a lot. Okay. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, it still shows that Trump is losing, right? Having said that, however, you can tell when Trump is not doing well by the way that he posts. Okay. If he's on a posting frenzy, you can tell he is not doing all right. You can also tell when he's on a frenzy if he's consistently talking about how the polls are fake and the media is fake and they're lying, which is precisely what he's doing. He's been posting like QAnon shit. Just, you know, he's been going nutty mo with it. Having said that, however, like I mentioned, this does not mean automatic lock, automatic victory for Kamala Harris. I will consistently urge, once again, for the campaign to not do these dumbass things that they've been doing since the DNC and past the DNC, thinking that they have this in the fucking bag.
All these battleground states are within shouting distance. Here you have the Georgia number.
Right.
And that's where Donald Trump is today.
Well, you know, Fox News came out with these Sun Belt state polls, and Donald Trump is still ahead, I believe, in the state of North Carolina, within the margin of error. But it's interesting. So as they do this bus tour through Georgia, apparently the strategy is the Democrats think that Georgia is actually in play. And they always win Atlanta. So what they're trying to do with this bus tour is they're going to go to southeast Georgia. They're the swing state polls, right? Or rather the Sunbelt polls. And Kamala Harris just a little ahead of Trump. It goes to show you how much a difference it can make. Anyway, as I started to say, the Democrats can always win Atlanta, but they're going to the southeast because they're trying to lose by a smaller margin. And that could be one of the reasons why the Trump campaign and Trump's largest super PAC have spent more money buying TV ads in Georgia in the first 2 weeks.
Donald Trump, Fox polls are rigged and worthless. Here we go again. Fox News has released a series of polls in Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, all of which show head-to-head race between President Trump and Kamala Harris well within the margin of error. However, that doesn't account for Fox News' own margin of error in their fall surveys. Compared to, oh my God, they're just fucking running the tape. Dude. For the record, once again, Fox News' pollsters are not like attached to the hip with the Fox News editorial team. They do have solid polls. This is a thing that I always have to remind people. Okay? So this doesn't mean that like, well, Fox is like on Trump's side and his polls, even the Fox News polls show that he's like doing poorly. Like, that's not what this means. Okay? Calm down before you make such assertions. That's not what this means at all. Okay? Having said that, obviously the polls look bad for Trump, and he's so mad that he's just like shitting on Fox News. Yes. Fox partners with GOP and Democratic pollsters. They are not. Their polls are reliable. Hey man, this is confidential information. Well, he posted it on his Truth Social, so I think it's fine. This is a bit late, but Kamala's senior advisor was literally one of Hillary's in 2016. I wouldn't count on her for smart decisions. I think there is a crisis of talent in the Democratic Party's like staffer side. Legitimately. I think like all of the fucking all the failures have consistently gotten promoted. And that is the reason why they make these awful decisions where you're like, how the fuck is this going on? Okay. Like, how are they making these choices that are so antithetical to like what they've done so far in moments where it matters? Decisions like a 2-on-1 interview, no, that's not a bad decision at all. No, that's actually a good decision. That's a great decision. That's not the problem at all. The real shit is like saying that you want a Republican in your cabinet, saying or coming out with like a more aggressive stance on the military, thinking that you're going to pick up some like lost Trump voters along the line. All of these decisions are idiotic. Okay? They were bad. They were bad policy when it was Biden doing it, but it was at least a little bit more manageable in terms of the politics side of it, because Biden was capable of, as an old guy who had a track record in Congress as like being a relatively conservative Democrat, he was able to, one, captivate certain aspects of the Obama base, being Obama's vice president, but beyond that, was able to pick some of these like more conservative college educated white voters and was actually doing a pretty solid job while hemorrhaging all of the other demographics that the Democratic Party relies on in order to win elections. Okay? Kamala Harris is not Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is a younger black Indian woman. Okay? She should be running a very different campaign than the Joe Biden campaign. She should be running the 2008 Obama campaign, not the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign, which was a failure, and not the 2020 Biden campaign. Or, I mean, I wish she was running the 2020 Biden campaign in terms of the immigration stuff, but like, she's not even doing that at all.
Of the Kamala Harris campaign than they spent in the entire year. So it does, and Brian Kemp told us, among other things, and has said, the road to the White House runs through Georgia. And this year, it looks like it does.
Yeah, it sure does. And so, of course, they're trying to, on Kamala's side, kind of pump their numbers up in rural areas, or they're trying to run this like we're now for hunting and camo hats and pretend like they're all down with that. We'll see.
That's so funny because that's literally what the failure of a candidate in Georgia did.
Ago, Dana. So what stood out to you about Harris's answers?
There's something very funny about following Obama's worst instincts
about a range of
and not
issues,
his best.
Including what is happening here domestically, particularly with the crisis of people not feeling that they can afford basic things, groceries, housing, and also the idea of what is happening abroad. And in addition to that, I asked her about one of the main themes from her convention, which was just last week. And she discussed there the desire to be the president for all Americans. Obviously, that includes not just her party, not just potentially swing voters who vote for her, but Republicans who don't vote for her. So I wanted to know how that would translate into the kind of people that she puts in her administration if she wins.
You had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone in mind?
Yes, I would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but I would. I think I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that
Boo!
have different
Boo!
views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the
Boo!
American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
Now, Alex, we have seen Democratic presidents put Republicans in their cabinet. Ray LaHood, who was a Republican congressman from Illinois, he became transportation secretary for George W. Bush. We saw Chuck Hagel, who was a Democratic senator, go into the Bush administration. But the question, obviously, is if she wins, which is still an if in this neck-and-neck race, what is she talking about? Is she talking about somebody like Defense Secretary or Secretary of State, somebody with a very, very important job when it comes to explaining the policies that she has? Or would it be somebody who, not to say that all members of the cabinet aren't important, but maybe has something that is more acceptable to the people who, if she wins, believe that they brought her to the dance? Alex.
And then, Dana, on the policy front, you asked Harris as well to explain her change of position, which she has been attacked for on some key issues like fracking. What did she tell you?
Yeah, I mean, that is the number one or one of the top attacks on her from Donald Trump and his campaign. They call her a chameleon because she has changed her position on a couple of big issues, particularly since she first ran for president, which was in the 2020 cycle. And so I talked to her about some of the sort of big ones, energy, as you mentioned, fracking, which is a huge issue in the must-win state for her of Pennsylvania, and immigration as well. Some of the things that she said during that campaign have changed and shifted as she has spent the past more than 3.5 years as vice president under Joe Biden. I talked more broadly to her, Alex, about how that should be perceived by voters who want to be sure that if they're going to vote for her, that the policies that she is saying that she would put in place now, if she becomes president, are not going to be changed again. And effectively, her answer was, I might have changed some of the...
Are they teasing this? No, they're are they teasing like a test poll? Make sure it's going to be a hit? No, they're trying to max out on people tuning into CNN. That's it.
With the vice president and with
they're doing a promo while simultaneously
today,
offering tidbits so that you keep watching throughout the day and not just.
The
I mean, literally, we're tuning into CNN to see what they're saying.
What were the interactions like between
That's the reason.
Harris and Walz in the interview and on the trail that you observed?
They are getting to know each other. These are not two individuals who serve together in any real capacity. They obviously spent time together when she was interviewing for her running mate. They clearly clicked because she said that she wanted him to do the job. But there is a little bit of a new relationship vibe, since vibe is the word of the summer, going on between the two of them. But they clearly have a good connection, and that was obvious not just in the interview today, Alex, but I was with them on the trail here in Georgia. They're on a bus tour and in and around Savannah, watching them interact with students in high school and also with voters at a local barbecue shop.
And certainly a bus tour will put a new relationship to the test. Dana, I know that this is going to be a wide-ranging interview, hitting on all kinds of domestic and foreign policy issues. Really looking forward to it. So thank you so much for joining us. And you all can see all of Dana's exclusive interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, only here on CNN. Let's talk more about the Harris-Walz interview that Dana just wrapped up with our team of political experts. Thank you all for joining me. Laura Barón-López, I want to start with you. That pledge that Harris made to have a Republican in her cabinet, talking about the diversity of opinion that is necessary. Do you see this as another example of Harris trying to reach out to many of those disaffected Republican voters?
Yes, I think that's exactly what it is, to reach out to those voters that voted for Nikki Haley in the primaries, even after she dropped out. And I was actually just talking to one such voter in Arizona, And I asked them what they thought about that, those comments that Harris made. This was a two-time Trump voter, a voter that no longer says that she's going to vote for Trump. She's a suburban woman in Arizona. And she said that she liked that Harris said that she thought that she wants to see Harris talk to moderate Republicans and make policy with moderate Republicans and show that she'll work in a bipartisan way with Republicans. But that voter also said that they still want to see more on Harris's economic policy.
And Alex Thompson, we did see at the DNC in Chicago several Republicans speaking on behalf of Harris, Adam Kinzinger, Olivia Troy, among others. When you take that with this promise that she made today, what does it say to you about this outreach to the Republican Party?
That it's a key part of her campaign strategy. I mean, essentially, she's being able to run only a general election campaign without a primary. And last time she ran the presidential primary, she ran to the left in order to try to consolidate the base. Now she feels very confident that she has the base of the Democratic Party, and polling shows very much the same, that Democrats are energized, that she has unified the Democratic Party. Well, if the Democratic Party is unified, especially because she's going against Donald Trump, then the next step then is to try to pick people that aren't part of the Democratic base, that are Republicans, that are basically people that maybe were like fine with the Trump presidency, but do not like him, do not think he's a good person, and don't want to see him as president again, and don't want to just frankly argue about him for another 4 years.
And Michael Hardaway, you heard Dana there talking about Republicans who Obama had in his cabinet, and you know, presidents who've chosen cabinet members from the other party, and yet President Biden doesn't have a Republican in his cabinet. Trump did not have Democrats in his. Why do you think the vice president is now making this pledge?
Well, there are some serious issues that we have to address together in a bipartisan way as a country in the next 5 to 10 years. We've got a $35 trillion national debt that we have to deal with. That has to be in a bipartisan way. You've got these international threats from North Korea and Russia and China. You've got chaos in Sudan and Venezuela and the Congo. All of those things have to be done in a bipartisan way. And Republicans are half of this country.
I hate everything. I hate so much. I hate everything that I'm seeing. I hate everything that I'm hearing. I hate the media. I hate the fucking Harris campaigns like worst instincts possible. They are literally, bro, you're not going to comment at all? What can I say? This is basically a rehashing of every single fucking Democratic candidacy. They went so quickly back to their old fucking method. Like I kept reiterating that I was worried that they would start running scared. And when people were like, Hasan, it seems like you're very excited. When they chose Tim Walz, when they fucking swapped out Biden with Harris, you're like, oh, there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of excitement surrounding this campaign. And I was like, I'm still worried that they will retriangulate to the center and they will run scared. The excitement came from the Tim Walz. The excitement came from the Tim Walz pick and what that potentially spelled for the campaign.